Hello doll friends, this is Michael Kanadas with the Grovian Doll Museum and Carmel Doll Shop. Well, guess what? We got lucky and we got invited back to the Susan and Lou Nunez collection. Today I'm going to take you into actually one of the smallest galleries in their collection, and it's a wonderful little jewel box. So I hope, again, you've worn your comfortable shoes because we're going to go upstairs and look at some delightful items. So follow me. It's easy to get distracted in this wonderful house with all the bright, shiny objects. Well, let's go up. So we came in the front door, and you can see we're in a balcony area, and we get a bird's eye view of this magnificent crystal chandelier. So once upon a time, this space was all dark and brown, and it housed books and DVDs and things like that. And Susan redesigned this to keep her clowns and Mandeville's and all kinds of charming items. And what's really special about these items, it almost encapsulates all of the things that you would find in an Étrennes catalog, which in a Étrennes catalog, for those of you that don't know, in France, the giving of toys and children's gifts really happened at New Year's. So every department store, Le Samaritain or Bon Marché, all had Étrennes catalogs, which I always find that Étrennes catalogs are the equivalent to the wish booklets that we all grew up with, the Ward's catalogs and the Sears catalogs. But this study group, which is, you know, a study collection, it's not a group, pretty much encapsulates what I consider a trend, and it's really special at this time of the year when we're starting to celebrate the holidays. So I am going to start, and I think we should send in the clowns first. So one thing that got Susan and Lou interested in collecting juvenilia was many years ago. As a young couple, they went to an antique center in New York City and they saw a Mandeville. And that was one of the things that got the bug started. So clearly Susan and Lou have made up for their early years, and they have right now a great collection of Mandevilles, which are a form of automaton, but they're almost more for children. So I think before we look at the clowns, we have to acknowledge their importance. And these are German manufactured, and they're almost always very charming. And for some reason, the musicians aren't working so great, but they're one-note wonders. But you can see the imagination in all of this is really something. And by the way, the more you play these, the better it is for them. It keeps everything going. So here's one of many, and we'll look at more. But I think we have to acknowledge the clowns in this segment. So here we have, I can just see this in under a Christmas tree, but you have your very charming cymbal player, and he does this nice little jump. And I would imagine there might have at one time been a little squeak there too. And I think we call these, as collectors, we call these clappers. And here's another one that's very, see, this one's got the squeak. And he does the cymbals and the eye movement. And this one I think is paper mache, which, think of that just surviving is a miracle. Completely original. And that can give people who are afraid of clowns, that could keep them up at night. And this one is particularly, I think, special. Again, that it survived is a miracle. And if I think it would work better if I didn't have my finger on. But you can see just a wonderful piece. Little accordion. We'll make sure he gets back there, okay. And this, oh, I think we're going to pass on looking at him because he's actually not a clown. He's a musician. And here you have your squeaker. And again, a little clown, but he also has a whistle. And a totally original clothes, beautifully mellowed. And I think we will now go into this cabinet. Okay, I intended to talk about clowns in this segment, but how can you ignore this? This is epic. This is very large. I wish I had a tape measure so I could give you exactly the measurements, because this is something. Now, this is not the most, there are bigger than this, but this is as big as they come with this fantastic movement. How could you have a bad day if you had that? You just play that and it could totally change your mood. So here we have not a clown, but another wonderful pull toy with a Simon and Halbig head. The head itself is really exceedingly rare. I don't think I've ever seen that. That's clearly a little boy, and he's playing cymbals. And if I could pull this along the floor, there's not enough room in here. You could see that he could really, he's got rhythm. And then very big in the Nunes collection are Polichinelles, and they had many, many uses. They were decorative, they were meant to be hung over babies' bassinets, toys, and you will find them in every Etrennes catalog until about 1938. And then now we're back to the subject matter, which is clowns. But this one I'm going to very carefully take out, because he is bisque. But look, well, we're not getting, he's a little messed up, but you can see this has movement. So that, I think his stand has gotten in there. But you would squeeze him like the others that we've shown you, and the mouth would open and close. There you can see a little bit of movement. And think of how many of these have survived. Very interesting sculpture. And this is pretty nice because we've got it fully marked. So with a little bit of work, we could find out who this is. And I'll try to do that for you. And that will be in the comments. And then another early musical pull toy. And you can see it's almost the same concept, just a little bit different application. But you would pull it and it would beat the cymbals. Sorry for the squeaking from my feet. And then we have a classic Jumeau, Roulet and de Camp, Mademoiselle Polichinelle playing the cymbals, and a very appropriate for this collection and in this space of all these fanciful things, good old Uncle Sam. And we've got a couple of more musicians. And then over here, we've got some really rare pieces of wind-up items, and I'm going to move this aside. This is a sweet piece, and one of the things I think is very interesting about it, like these classic crank toys, it has the wooden hands carved out of wood, but I have never seen a hand with that finger pointing like that. They're usually flat or in a fist, but this has got the finger pointing because he's going to show you his talent. So look at that. This one's really got wonderful movement. Isn't that sweet? And totally original clothes, and it's a little Police Chanel. The next one I want to show you is this musical bunny. So this is a cutie, and where does it? Okay, bunny, there you can see. I mean, this wasn't supposed to last as long as it has. And sometimes Bunny makes it, and sometimes he doesn't. And I could sit and play with that all day. So, and I would imagine this would have made a nice Easter present, but you can see that the motif is actually Christmas. So you've got the holly berries. And we've got lots of waltzers. I won't show you these because I don't want them to get away. If you wind it up, and this is a Gustave Vichy, it will just, it's easy to run away with, to get out of control. And it has a beautiful classic French fashion doll type head. So one of the things I want to show you in this case, again, this collection is rich in beautiful Police Chanels. And this is a lovely piece by, the head would be by Gautier, I would imagine. Yeah, I would say it's by Gautier. And in the classic pink and blue. But if we're celebrating the holidays and a trend, this is a classic piece. And for a Police Chanel, it's fairly early, even though they're much, much earlier than this. This is fairly early. And this one is especially nice because it has the little bisque hands. But all in original condition. These are almost always on the fragile state because they really weren't made to last 150 years, but here we are. So I'll put that back, and then the next thing I want to show you is something really gallant. One of my picks in this room is this wonderful early, so we're talking about late 1840s into the 1850s, clockwork toy by Gustave Vichy. This is in the family of waltzers, although it doesn't waltz, but I'm not going to put it down on the floor to do its thing, but I can show you that you can get the concept of what she can do. So wind her up and the horses go gallop away. And the chariot is exquisite with all of the Dresden paper and the papier-mâché horses, beautifully outfitted. And this is just a wonderful early toy. You don't even have to be a collector of mechanical things to see the beauty of this and how well it's just an object of art unto itself. So we're going to go on to the other side and look at some more goodies. Well, here is a rare little item. The papier-mâché Police Chanel with a body that's similar to what we would call a milliner's model. And very few of these are around. And this one actually was made by the Kestner Company. So you can tell that, Kestner was already supplying French manufacturers with Police Chanel so that they could have things to put into the trend catalogs. And again, another amazing piece of clockwork toy. And again, I would say that this is by Vichy, but this is really one of the more complicated pieces, and I think fairly early for their items. And again, I'd show it to you, but there's not enough space here to get it really going. But in original condition, I would say. And I do think it's a genius how they used different fabrics and created these tabs, which are very decorative. But another great toy. You will find in a trend catalog, one of the toys you would see pretty regularly was a lotto set. So you spin the wheel, and whatever it falls on, I think we probably should have had numbers numbering what you would win. And those were probably removable, and they've been long lost. But you can see pretty much what you would find in a fundraising lotto of the time. And then I do believe that a lot of these squeakers have been with Susan and Lou for many, many years. And, you know, some of them don't squeak that well anymore, but these are very ephemeral, easily lost and disintegrated. But she's got a nice collection of these. And I think that this toy, and these were added to this piece just to make it look charming. And I think this is particularly charming, little roly-poly. So you would roll it as, we don't have to worry about it falling over. Very cute. And we have had a program on Prévost-Thierrez in this segment. And here we have another Prévost-Thierrez Polichinelle. And that one I think is exceptionally beautiful. The face is very pale. And it is a bigger size than most of them that are around. So at this era of the Heuret Company, it is not one size. There are more than one size. And I think we should have a little musical interlude. So let's see what happens when these two clowns, let's just see. Are we going to get anything? Come on. Come on. There. Sometimes they need a good smack. And this needs to be a little adjusted a bit. This is the wrong way. So now, and what's so great about this is these are jumeaux, and in French, jumeau means twins, and they are twins. And that is it, folks. Our friendship and our association with Susan and Lou Nunes started with this little Polichinelle roly-poly. One beautiful day at the former Angel's Attic once-a-year show, Susan and Lou came as attendees, and they bought this wonderful roly-poly from us. And you can see it's really, you can't knock Polichinelle down. And what I think is interesting about him is the head will pivot no matter which way you roll him. And to think that, and it is weighted with something, I don't know what, but that this survived is really just an absolute miracle. And this is what started our friendship all those years ago, and he's still here. So here we have another epic, I mean, this is an epic pull toy. And here we have Polichinelle on a chicken. And there's a lot of mythology around Polichinelle. One of the things being, was he hatched by a chicken? So which would mean he's part chicken. So here you can see, you pull it. This one I'm demonstrating because you can, works fairly well and won't get a, but again, this is paper mache, simple paper mache and wood with a Gautier head, probably 1910 or 12 or 15. but you know, in the classic tradition of Police Chanel. And I personally think that this striped green and red fabric just makes it fanciful and fun. A certain amount of it is, I think, quite rustic, but yet when you add all the ribbons and lace, it makes it very, very luxurious. And I love the treatment of this hat. So costumers out there, that's a great way to do a Police Chanel hat. Beautiful, beautiful eyes. But I think that this is really a wonderful, cheerful piece. I'm going to put him back because Police Chanel is a him. And I'm going to bring down this next piece. Because I think he's pretty sensational. Oops, oops. And here we have the Simon and Halbig version of the Police Chanel head, which I think is really one of the most beautiful versions as far as sculpture. Not that it's a pretty face, but the sculpting is beautiful and the bisque coloration is beautiful. And look at these teeth. I know a lot of our followers are doll makers, and this is not an easy thing to do. And a wonderful original costume, and a really super pair of shoes. Look at those shoes. So this was made pre-World War I, and probably just before the World War. And there really aren't many of these around. And one thing I do want to point out, it is Simon and Halbig, and I have a theory that of all of the German makers, Simon and Halbig did have a nice foothold of supplying porcelain parts to the French shops and assemblers. Okay, I'm going to put him back. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most beautiful Police Chanel of all? And I think it's this piece. The others have spectacular costumes and situations, but I think this Police Chanel has the most beautiful face. Not that the costume and everything is fantastic. I just think that those eyes are hypnotic. And a lot of you will ask that are not familiar with this character, why he has the hump in the front and the back. Police Chanel was a gourmand, and one day he swallowed a pickle, a hole, and it has since grown. And that is why we have this. But a beautiful face. So here is another pull toy, and this one I cannot demonstrate for you because in order to have this one move, it is powered by all four wheels. But what I can tell you is when it was pulled, then the head would turn and his little baton would smack his hand. This is a motif in Police Chanel that I have not seen. So if you're out there and you understand what the significance of Police Chanel being on a pheasant, please let us know in the comments. Chicken is a normal motif for Police Chanel, but pheasant is something totally new. And it's very, very imaginative and creative. And again, this is a big piece. So these are, the openings of these shelves are at least 20 inches tall, and you can see how big this is. It has somehow survived with these little spindly legs. But this is a totally original piece. I'm going to spin it around so you can see it. Susan and Lou strive to have things in original condition, which is not an easy thing to find when you're looking at things of this age and delicacy. So I think that I'm going to leave this at this last charming piece. And friends, we will be back later.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.